Yes, let me introduce myself. My name's Robyn Wilde. I'm 80 years old and I've been living in Townsville for 14 years. Warren and I met, would you believe, I was 5 years old. We started going out when I was 14, and that's the whole story. And his army life was a real joy to him. He started as an apprentice at 15 years old, and he stayed in the army for 24 years. We married when I was just 20, and we went from post to post. Every post was an adventure. Army life was good. We thoroughly enjoyed it. Well, we met I suppose at 14, let's not count the 4 years old, on Newcastle railway station one evening. He was coming home to visit his father on Christmas leave, and I happened to be there. And that's when I met him for the second time. And we're just best mates ever since. Yeah, so it's all worked out. Everyone thought, oh, what's going on here? One darling auntie said, they're a match, I know it. But she was a bit of a romantic. I was actually just finishing school, and I was on holidays and travelled with family up north to visit various members of family here and there, just dotting along the way, you know. And we decided to stay in Newcastle, and that's where we met, and that's where we sort of the whole caravan of family stayed and had Christmas, and that's sort of the ball started rolling. Okay. Yeah, but it was rather lovely, and it's our relationship has always been very much hinged on family. So many relatives, half relatives, life gets complicated, but you know, somebody's auntie and someone else's grandma, and away it goes. But one day we sat down and worked it all out, and we decided that we actually shared a cousin, and we were wondering whether we should really be together. But worked out it was okay. Yeah, so, but when we got married, Warren was in Sydney, in Randwick, nice part of Sydney, and we stayed in Randwick for a wee while until he was posted over to the other side of town and at Holsworthy. And each time he moved, it was a promotion. I spent my time working in a bank. It's just the two of us. It was only the two of us for over 8 years. Warren went to Vietnam in 66 to 67. We had been married for all of 8 months. So being a new army wife was super new to me. But off he went, and we just hoped for the best. It wasn't a great time because, and I think it was just because of the time, correspondence, all we had was letters. No internet, no phones, no nothing, just letters. And that made him feel a very long way away. Well, I knew exactly where he was, and then letters would come in maybe bundles of 5 in a week, and then I'd get none for 3 or 4 weeks. Nothing at all. And then we had a little bit of trouble with unions, and they stopped the mail going through to the soldiers, which is something you do not do. That was not a happy time for anybody. That was a bitter time, yes. And in fact, the men didn't forget, and when they finally came home and were given their welcome home parade 25 years after they came home, Bob Hawke was then Prime Minister, and nobody gave him the salute because they said, we remember. And I thought, fair enough. You know? It's bitter, but I can't help but hold that bitter feeling. It was such a wrong thing to do, especially when this was a time when this was the first war that was actually televised day to day. Yeah. And I could get information if I wanted to before I heard it from Warren. In fact, I got to the point where I just said, because I moved home with Mum and Dad, and I just told Mum and Dad, look, when I come home, would you please not have the telly on? And they said, no, we don't want to know either. So no news went into our house. That's how we coped with it. Yeah. I mean, the whole campaign was horrible, but to treat your troops in such a poor fashion was unforgivable. And I can't forgive. And then he got posting to New Guinea. And we had 3 years up there, amazing 3 years up there in New Guinea. We were in New Guinea at 69, 70, end of 69 to the beginning of 72. At the time when New Guinea was pushing for its independence. And we were there on the day that they flew their own flag for the first time. And it was truly amazing, yeah. After we'd been to New Guinea and had the most marvellous experience there, Warren was posted back to, was it not Holsworthy, near Milperra, still out in the west of Sydney. And he was apparently called into the boss's office one day and was castigated for being out of uniform. And Warren said, well, I'm not out of uniform. So he said, yes, you are. Go and pin those on. Got another promotion. And with that promotion, he wasn't going to come home and tell me we'd been posted to Melbourne. He phoned me. And I swear, I didn't take a beanie or a scarf or 3 jumpers off for a month when we moved down there. It's still just the 2 of us. And it was that time we thought, well, it looks like Melbourne might be where we're going to stay for quite a while. That's when we started looking for a house. Had a house built. And at that time, we also had a baby starting to build. So we got the house and we moved in on Christmas Eve with our brand new baby. It was lovely. Fantastic. Best Christmas present ever.
It's been lovely.
Yeah. But after that, Warren spent a lot of time in Melbourne doing all sorts of things. He did a lot of research with, I think it was all 3 arms of the forces, did all sorts of research, and actually he's gone to print. His research had gone into print. He might have been trained as a motor mechanic, but he was a very good researcher, and he was spotted for that and used for that. Yeah. So as we just got cosy in Melbourne, and number 2 baby turned up, and then we were told, guess what, guys? You're going to Canberra. And so we did. And a lot of people don't like Canberra, but I do. I do. I really like it. I've lived there for about 7 years. Yeah, it was extra good. And that was when Warren decided that he came home and said, Robyn, I've got a decision to make. My time is almost up in the particular stages they signed up for. I think they signed up for 7 years at a time, I'm not sure. They said, but if we stay in, I can hear rumours that they're going to send me to a field force again And he said, "No, I'm too old to be running around the bush." He said, "And when they send me to a field force, they'll send me to Townsville. And I don't really want to go to Townsville." So he left the army after nearly 24 years, slipped through his retirement and joined the Federal Police. And we end up in Townsville. Service was his thing. He was that sort of person. Yes, he was. Since Warren's departure, which was sudden, unexpected, absolutely awful, I've struggled to be a whole person rather than half of a whole, because we'd been together for so long and best mates for so long, and there I was trying to function on my own without an ear to, chest something out or ask about, and that was tough. And that's when I got in touch with Legacy. And although I don't know a lot of people there yet, I think I was about 8 months after Warren passed, where I went to my first Legacy meeting. And the room was just full of lovely ladies, all looked much like me. They embraced me. It was lovely. And I thought, I'm going to be okay. I've got all these people that are going to help support me if I need it. It felt wonderful. Yeah. I haven't seen them for a while because I've spent a bit of time in and out of hospital of late. So I'm looking forward to getting well enough to get to the next meeting. Yeah. I would like to think that Legacy's profile was higher because they do marvellous things. They really do. They deserve any accolade they get. And a lot of the hard work is just done by widows like myself. We just get stuck in and do. There were a few young women in the room, but mostly I saw bobbing grey hair and white hair all around the place. One absolutely gorgeous woman, absolutely love her. I think she's 97. She's a World War II widow. And she comes every month, and I do my best to sit near her because she's so inspiring. And she comes dressed up as if she's going to the palace. She just looks wonderful. I love her very much. I thought, gosh, if I could just emulate that. My daughter has taken me to a couple of the meetings when I haven't been able to get transport. If it's school holidays, then my daughter's free to take me. And the second time we went, she said, "Oh, Mum, do you think we'll get to sit next to..." And I said, "Well, there's every chance." She said, "I hope so. She's gorgeous." Yeah, so that's an almost 50-year-old looking to talk to someone, way into the 90s. Raised the children one was born in Melbourne. My son was born in Melbourne. No, he wasn't. He was born in St George in Cogra in Sydney, because I was in Sydney attending my mum who was terminally ill. I was nursing her and I had to stay in Sydney and have my baby. So Gregory was born in St George Hospital in Cogra, New South Wales, and my daughter was born in St Vincent's Hospital in Fitzroy in Victoria. And then they didn't have any schooling in Victoria because they were too young, but their schooling started in Canberra and went on until such times as we left Canberra, when Warren was posted to Serbia. And we had 3 amazing years in Serbia. And they had the best schooling they've ever received in the international school in Serbia, in Belgrade. Arrived in February 83, home in January 86. Back to Canberra, I brought the children home myself. Warren had to stay in Belgrade for another month or 6 weeks, but I said I'm taking the children home to get them started on the Australian year of schooling. So that's what we did. So they went back to Canberra to their schooling until such times as we decided we've had enough. We're going to move north, and we moved up to a little town in Queensland called Gympie. And right away from the military, right away from the police, and probably the biggest blunder we ever made, we bought into a convenience store. Oh my gosh, is that work? Working all hours and raising 2 pubescent children is not fun. Yeah, so they finished their schooling in Gympie, both. And they both, after they'd finished school years later, they both took themselves back to university. So it's particularly the daughter who didn't particularly want to do much at all. She's done nothing but study ever since. And she's working now with, I don't know if you've heard of it, it's called Karinati Shalom School. It's mainly, I think Catherine told me about 98% Aboriginal children. And she works with them, loves it. Gregory has had a multitude of jobs. Gregory's a restless soul. He would travel all the time if he could, but at the moment he's well, and he's delighted to be working with the council in their parks and gardens, and he loves gardening. Yeah, I think it's doing him well. Honestly, I would not have managed without them, without their support. I think my brain went to mush, and it was their support that got me through, and it was their encouragement for me to go outside the house and find people. Mum, get in touch with Legacy. You know they're good. Get in touch with them. And I thought, oh, for goodness sake, I'll shut you up. I'll get in touch with Legacy. And I'm so pleased I did. Yeah. What pleases me is it's not, as I go there, it's not just tea and sympathy. We have a lot of laughs. We have, there are various people with different interests are brought in and give us talks on all sorts of things. There's outings that people can go on if they choose to. There's so much activity to keep people moving, thinking, and getting better. I just think they just need to keep doing, but talk themselves up a bit. Let's hear more about Legacy. Yeah.